Do men really want to date a professional woman? Is a corporate woman preferred to a woman who is a stay at home mom? Well, there's been a lot said around these YouTube streets about what men really want, and I have the perfect guest tonight, y'all, to answer a few questions, of course, on how men and women relate to one another. Now, I've always been told, now that I'm a part of this YouTube game, that there are certain disadvantages to dating a professional woman. That is, I'm defining as a high value woman. That is a woman who is nurturing and caring and loving, yet gets her bag. But there is a school of thought that there is a danger in this type of woman. And I want to hear what you have to say about the pros and the cons of starting relationships with women who are professionals, who have their degrees in the game of corporate climbing and want a family, want a husband, want to partner with someone. Oh, I said the word partner. Y'all mad? But wants to be alongside someone and start a life. But the feedback I've been getting has been mixed. And I want to ask you the question: do men really desire to date a corporate woman, a professional woman, a woman who can make her own bread, who calls her own shots, but who can also, stand down and follow? Or do you believe that type of woman never follows, no matter how much she acts like she is following you? She's always trying to compete. Is that a danger to you? Do you feel that the average man, let's say the 80% of middle income earners, let's say we divide men up into 100%. So I'm saying the, I don't even like to say bottom, but the 80% at the bottom, do you really think they want a professional gal? Someone who is equal to them or has to bring in certain amount? Or is that seen as intimidating? Do men really feel a comfort level with having a woman at home who does not work, who takes care of the home based responsibilities and duties, and leaves the breadwinning to him? Well, in today's society, I know for myself, I don't understand unless your man is really, really on the corporate climb, how only one income can sustain a family. But I want to know really and truly, is the logic today kind of, what should I say, throwback? Or are men accepting the more modern version of women? Do they think that the classic woman has traits that they prefer to someone who has to get up and go to work? Or has society built it so that women don't have a choice? If we're single, if we want to make our own lives and make our own ways in this world, we have to work. And would you stop your woman, your wife, from working if you selected her as a high value woman, as a woman that is, and I'm saying high value in terms of financial? If you married a high value woman, would you keep her home? Well, I have a friend guy who's an attorney here in Miami. Shout out to everybody, first and foremost, who is weathering the storm. Let me acknowledge all of Florida. I'm in Miami, but all of Florida is being touched by Hurricane Ian right now. So let me first acknowledge and send prayers to those people on the west coast of Florida. On the other side, thank you for all those who reached out to me, and I appreciate y'all checking in. Miami didn't really get the brunt of it. We really ended up quite, what should I say, lucky, because Fort Myers, Sanibel, uh, Captiva, those retiree sides of Florida is really, really kind of feeling it right now. So let me just pause and just acknowledge the people that's about to get it tonight. Orlando area, all my people's in Tampa. I've checked on to several of you. So I hope you're okay, and I hope everybody who has loved ones in the area, they're doing okay. But to get to tonight's topic, do men really want to date a high value woman? Or is this something that, especially once a man reaches a certain level of success or a certain age of maturity, is looked upon as a difficult woman, a woman that has nothing to offer except possibly not being satisfied with who he is and what he has to offer? Or are men searching for the fall in line? I got you, boo. Whatever you say. Where we going? I'm gonna follow your lead at all costs. And women who are basically fully reliant upon their man. Is that a safer bet for men nowadays? I want to hear what you have to say. I'm going to bring up my special guest momentarily. Let me say hello. Welcome again. This is Suzette Speaks. Is this the first time? Welcome. If this is the first time you're watching, hit the like button. I appreciate y'all who are subscribed to me. I call them my speakers because I want them to speak up and speak out and let me know what they're feeling about tonight's topic. But this is a juicy one. Do men really want a high value woman when it comes to economics, a professional woman when it comes to mindset, her, what should I say, perspective towards life, her frame of mind? Do they really want that? Or are we seeing a shift, a pendulum swing back to wanting someone who is not necessarily a financial equal, not necessarily even maybe a mindset equal, but someone whom he can have influence over, and some might even characterize it as exerting power over, and not that that is necessarily negative, but oftentimes in today's society and in the dating marketplace, it can be seen as so when there's unequal power. But do men, average men, guys, we're not saying that the ballers and the shot callers tonight. We're talking about average dudes who go to work every day, try to pay their bills, and are good citizens, have good hearts, and actually want to build relationships with somebody else. Why does it seem that perhaps professional women have fallen out of favor? Or is that just a stereotype of a few whose voices are the loudest in these YouTube streets? Or do you feel that way? You would rather have someone who is not necessarily a breadwinner, not necessarily going to be a person that is going to compete, if you will. Why do we have to compete is really why I want to ask, but we're gonna frame it that way. Thank you, Vic P says, I can't wait for this one. Welcome to Bias the Traveler. Welcome RM, one of my fantastic moderators. What up, Gaston? Gaston's world. He had a hurricane named after him just now. Welcome, Gaston. Good to have you here, brother. Hello, Brown Gal. Peace Lounge. Lovely hump day to you too, sis. Definitely never follows. My lord, that's what we got already. Shots fired by Gaston. Professional women not gonna follow. They don't want to hear nothing from you because they can get their own. Thank you, Ace B, Ace Butterfly in the building. Appreciate you. Yes, we're doing good, y'all. Here, safe and sound. Thank you very much for those who reached out. It's hard to date a woman 10 years plus in their career, says Gaston. It's the most consistent relationship they know at that point. Uh-oh. Shots fired. Let's go. Gaston Ace Butterfly says, for the host, oh, thank you. I appreciate you. Oh, yeah, I did switch it up. I forgot y'all haven't seen me yet. And I do it never wear the same look. I like to keep it fresh. That's a part of my personality. I like to switch it up. Yes. So the question becomes, uh-oh, our BFX asks, do professional women want regular men? Uh-oh. Well, we're going to answer and probably just explore a little bit because I don't know if we have the answer for everybody. But we're going to definitely explore the topic whether professional women, thank you, our BFX, want the average guy or whether the average guy wants a corporate woman. Let's go. Y'all welcome for the first time on my platform. I'm so excited to have him. He's a kind of a big deal. He is a wonderful content creator. He has a fantastic channel called We Need to Talk. It is deep, y'all. He goes deep when it comes to relationships between Black men and Black women. That's why I thought this would be a great topic. And I wanted to just hear his ponderings on whether or not we can still love each other and find each other and respect each other and just make, life happen as it once did in a community built on families, if that's what we want. But without further ado, let's welcome to the Suzette Speaks show, for the first time, none other than Alan, the founder of the YouTube channel We Need to Talk. Welcome, Alan. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am fantastic too. Now that I see you, good brother. Thank you for look at your background, first of all. Yes, and yes. The
Thank you.
debonair
Thank you.
feeling, the mature, what should I say, thought provoking content creator that you are. I'm grateful that
Thank
you're
you.
here. I appreciate you
Absolutely.
saying yes to an invite. A random invite sometimes work, y'all. They say make the first move, so I did when it comes to new guests and new connections. But I appreciate you being here, brother. Look at the super chat already. Andrew, appreciate you. Says I want a
Shout out.
happy woman who can tolerate. Why we gotta tolerate love from my love, oh, excuse me, who can tolerate and love me for my good qualities and love me for
Mhm.
me. Uh-oh. Who can tolerate and love. Ah, yeah, I hope she would just love you. Tolerate sounds like it's like a chore, but tolerate and love me for my good qualities and love me for me. If she is rich, great. If she is just a wonderful person, I would snatch her up and return the love. Oh, I will provide warmth, hugs, love, etc. Wow. So there's so much in that comment. Before I ask you to even address some of what's being said already in the chat, good sir, I just want to thank you again and ask you to just tell people what you do on YouTube with your channel.
Sure. Thank you for inviting me. Um, so, like she said, my name's Alan. I founded We Need to Talk when I was in college, and pretty much our goal is to serve as a stage for productive, insightful, perspective rich dialogue. And right now we're focusing on Black men and Black women. The goal is to model healthy conversation, or how healthy conversation looks like, so we can take that into our lives. So, Black men can better express themselves, Black women can better express themselves. So,
I love it. You have him on the hot seat, though. We're gonna say what I
we,
see. I'm like, oh, this gentleman, he is going to dig. He's not going to back down and take the simple answers or the
we
surface
got to
level.
keep people honest.
Yes, I'm always like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know how I would do. Praise God, but I think it would be. It's just an interesting show. I like watching it.
Hmm.
I learn a lot about myself, and I think about, how would I have answered that question? Is she similar to me, or how do
Hmm.
I, draw some kind of self awareness from what it is that you're allowing others to present about their
Hmm.
experiences? So yes, shout out to Black Love and shout out to We Need to Talk. So tell me, sir, when I'm just curious about the show first before we get into the topic. What are you
Hmm.
learning about Black women so far? Uh
Whew.
oh.
Um, I'll put it like this. What I'm learning about people, because we started doing the show by having Black women interview Black men and vice versa. Um, we're a lot more alike than we are different.
Hmm.
That's the first thing. Black women in particular are notoriously bad listeners. That's what I'm learning. Let's see. Let me give
Explain.
you. So, in general, I think people enter dialogue with, you know, preconceived notions, with biases, and a lot of times we're just waiting for our turn to, you know, give our
Say how
side,
we
as
feel.
opposed
Yep.
to coming in, trying to learn something about the other person, or learn something about a perspective we might be ignorant about. Um, and unfortunately, I think, the idea is that women are better communicators, but we forget the listening part of communication. So what I'm
Mm.
learning is that a lot of our women, unfortunately, do not listen well.
Oh wow.
Mm.
So besides that, we are terrible listeners. um, can you give us some idea about our attitudes towards dating or the dating market or relationships? Any broad
Mm.
stroke takeaways from your interviews that you do so well at?
Um, a lot of us are jaded,
Mm,
right? And one of the things, one of the messages I've been trying to kind of push out is, if you go into dating a relationship in bad faith, you'll prove yourself right, right? Like, if you're
mm,
going in thinking, men are a certain type of way, Black men are a certain type of way, those type of men will gravitate to you. But if you do the work, the internal work to improve yourself, and I liken it to, like, being a job seeker, right? Once you get your resume together, you'll
mhm.
begin to attract different types of recruiters. Um, but yeah, that's my big
So that's
advice.
cool. All right. So asking more specifically now, have you
Hmm.
interviewed what we considered, or first of all, I'll ask for you for your definition. How I'm defining high value women is women who,
Hmm.
let's say, make 100,000 or more,
Hmm.
but there's a lot more to a high value woman than her
Sure.
pocketbook. Okay. So I'm just
Hmm.
defining it on, income parameters, but that is not the only, definitely not the most
Hmm.
important ingredient for a working, loving, sustainable relationship. So please understand that I'm just saying that for tonight's discussion purposes, but I'll ask Alan what he defines as a high value woman first.
Hmm. Um, so I think the operative word here is value, and value depends on perspective, right? So the term high value man that's been popularized by the late Kevin Samuels was from the perspective of women seeking a certain type of men, a
Hmm.
certain type of man. And for women, they prioritize certain characteristics before they got to other characteristics. And, adversely, men prioritize certain characteristics before we get to other characteristics. So having a woman who is highly educated, a high income earner, it's great. It's just not top five on our list. So there
Ah,
are other things we'll get to before we get to that. And unfortunately, I think what's happening right now is women think that those bottom traits make them competitive. And because of that, the opportunity cost is they miss out on strengthening the top traits.
okay. Let's
I think
unpack.
that's what's
I'll
happening.
pause you there.
Let's
Let's
talk about
unpack.
it.
Shout
Let's talk.
out to everybody in the chat watching live and team replay. Why don't y'all hit the like button? Suzette Speaks here with Alan from We Need to Talk YouTube channel. Uh, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Malamal says high value women will have to be the consumer men want. Okay, I hear you. And then he adds, that's not what men want. We don't care how much income. So you mentioned, um, shots fired. Women are becoming the men they want. A lot of mercy. We did what we was told, bro. We did what we was told. We were told, go get an education, work hard, climb the corporate ladder. There are many women I'm sure that can relate to that being drilled into you from you were very young. And the relationship side definitely de-emphasized, if emphasized at all, depending on your household. So
Mhm.
we're going to talk about. I want to pick your brain when you mention the values that are important
Mhm.
and the characteristics that are important. But I was going to ask you in terms of your show. Do you feel like you have interviewed high value women?
Yes. I've interviewed high value women based on my definition and yours.
Okay.
And,
So
and
add
that's kind of
add to
what's,
your definition. Let me make sure I understand your definition.
yeah. Yeah. So my definition would be, similar to what Kevin Samuels laid out with the acronym FBI, feminine, beautiful, inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
And I did want to mention one of the critiques that I get often is that my show makes African American women look bad, because
You
it
said it, not
assumes,
me, bro. You said
yeah,
it.
yeah, because
Sometimes
it
when I watch it, I'm
assumes,
like, I know sis could have worded that better, but is it the
yeah,
editing
yeah,
or what's happening right now? I know,
because
I
it,
hear you.
it assumes two things. It assumes, number one, that the women I'm interviewing are African American, which is not true. Some of
Black
them are, some of
diaspora?
them are not. Yes, yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So okay, we were
Um,
talking about FBA versus other
Non-FBA,
black.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I've
Tomato,
interviewed.
tomato to me, but okay, fine.
And then the second thing, it assumes that I am creatively editing it to make people look bad. But no, I don't do any creative editing. I release the interviews in spurts, and
Alan, you don't do no
I
creative editing?
none, none.
I be looking so choppy sometime. Not choppy as in
Mm,
editing, but like the voice of the person. I feel like, whoa, something must have been left
mm,
out in the middle there. And you're saying
no,
no.
no.
So the
So
continuous
just
conversation just given in small bits.
exactly. Yeah. So
Ooh.
so when I think of creative editing, I think of, splicing together two things and making somebody say something they didn't. I don't do
Right.
any of that. So if we do, let's say, a hour 30-minute conversation, I might release part two first, part one second, and part three third, right? But as far as moving things around, I don't do that.
Well, praise be to God. Well, at least y'all heard it first. It is what it is. What you're seeing is the raw, uncut, or at least just
Mhm.
chopped into segments, but
Yeah.
continuous conversations. Maybe the last
Mhm.
part first and the first part last. And I love that because you get them warmed up and they have not more passion behind what their perspectives are as the conversation I'm sure progresses. Chris
Sure.
Johnson, welcome, says men want educated women. I asked my friend if a woman has a great body but talk like Chris Bo. Was that you had to? I'm sorry, you had to be done. Take me out to the STO. Do you understand that? I'm sorry. When he want her, he said no. Hey Chris, thank you for coming through. Appreciate your comment. You said there are more characteristics to high value women than money. So what are the top five if money is not in the top 5?
I would say beauty
Mm-hmm.
from a male perspective, literally physical beauty.
In
I would
shape, good body,
good body,
good
good
skin.
good face, good skin. You know what I mean?
That's
Hygiene,
number one though, really?
absolutely,
Oh
absolutely.
Jesus. Okay.
Scent, and I think as you mature as a man, things like scent become more important. Things like, even the way she moves, the way she walks, the tone of her voice, the the
Shout out to
volume of her
Jesse
voice.
Powell. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
Right, the
no, go
way
ahead.
she walks, the way she talks, the way
Yeah,
she does my name and okay. Rest in
yeah.
peace, Jesse Powell. So that stuff is that sound
hmm
like romantic.
hmm Well, men are visual, right? And we want a woman who it's gonna sound weird, but a woman who kind of validates our accomplishments, right? You know that song. Obviously, you know the song. Girl, you are a walking trophy. Like
Hey,
a man wants to be able to look to his woman to kind of validate everything that he's worked for and suffered for, and take her around and show his peers and go to the
mm-mm.
balls and
So
yeah,
is that
it's true.
connected to a woman's external beauty only?
I think the external beauty is where it starts. I don't think there's any way around that. I think after that, then we start critiquing the other stuff.
Mm-mm.
Her temperament, her voice, her disposition. Is she a belligerent woman? Is she somebody who um, knows how to maintain a man's peace? People say bring a man peace, but maintain a man's peace. And then, is she intelligent? Is she somebody you can dialogue with? Is she somebody who's enthusiastic about helping you multiply what you've built? And then you get to money. But unfortunately, let's say we have a very beautiful woman who is not a six-figure earner, and an average woman who is a six-figure earner. 10 times out of 10, the beautiful woman who's not a six-figure earner is going to win.
Let me ask you this, Alan, because I heard this and I shout out to my Patreon members. Shout out to all of those
Mhm.
rocking with me on Patreon. We had an interesting conversation this past Saturday after my after show talking about Jada, not remember Jada, Nia Long and
Mhm.
Ime Udoka and my opinion on what was happening or what we knew of at the time. Even things have changed since that show. And I got a compliment. Shout out to a couple of my brothers in that Patreon that was like, Sue, you got the right stuff, your beauty, your this, your that. And they made me acknowledge that. And I kept thinking to myself, women don't think like that at all. I think about my self worth from an internal to external. I don't think about my self worth in an external beauty. But I would challenge, and I'm asking,
Mhm.
in a really trying to understand way. I know plenty of women with average looks, no disrespect, based on modern society's, I guess if you want to call it BBL baddies, that are
Mhm.
not extra in the trunk, who got a little tummy and got a good man. How do you
Mhm.
explain that? If it seems to be that external beauty is wrapped into a man's idea of um, accomplishment
Yeah.
and how he holds himself out to the worth, like the world in terms of worth. Like this is, she is symbolic of
Mhm.
an extension of me and my
Mhm.
accomplishment. How is it that I see so many women who are not beauty queens with love to my sisters? Everybody have different lots, right? And
Sure.
strengths or whatever. And they got good men and good up husbands. And it seems like men who are selecting for other reasons. How
Mhm.
would why I know you can't speak for every man, but right. So what
Sure.
you might do, another man might not do, etc. But how
Mhm.
might want to explain some of that then?
So, I might title this the Tom Brady paradox, but I've been using this to kind of explain how women who might not be blessed in the looks department can win, right? So,
Mm,
if you're a football fan, you realize that Tom Brady is the GOAT. He's the greatest football player that's ever lived. Tom Brady is also notoriously one of the worst athletes in the NFL, right? And the reason why he became so great is because he understood that he was not an athlete. He understood that he was not as fast as Michael Vick. He understood that he would not go first in the draft. But he understood that, if I learn the playbook, if I focus on the fundamentals, if I work hard at every rep, I can compete and surpass the Cam Newtons of the world who are just naturally gifted. I think what's happening, unfortunately, is because of the lack of self awareness in some of our women, they're
Mm,
unwilling to acknowledge the fact that they don't have the natural gifts of the beauty queens, right? So when you see the non beauty queen women with high value men, I think the reflex is to assume that she's an average woman. No, she's average looking, but she's exceptional in ways that might not be apparent to the
mm,
untrained eye. So,
mm,
but she can only get like that, similar to a Tom Brady, by understanding that okay, the looks thing isn't what I have, but maybe I can outcook those BBL girls. I can out reason those BBL girls. I can
mm.
outpiece those BBL girls. But unfortunately, until you get to the self awareness, you'll continue to compete in an arena that's not meant for you.
So much said there. I'm trying to digest that analogy. Thank you, brother.
Mhm.
Shout out to Malama on the super says, yes, Suzette is right. Women are much more pickier in looks than men are today. Thank you. Now, Sarah was like, he is attracted to her. I agree with you, Gray Pill. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But to Alan's point, there are other aspects of her being that
Mhm.
so-called what should I say? I don't want to say make up for, but are components that are extraordinary in terms
Compensating
of
factors.
say
Compensating factors.
Lord God, you know,
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
my words, his words,
Hmm.
Shout out to the
Yeah.
women who are confident, but also understand that there's more than meets the eye. Apparently, for our brothers to understand what it is they're looking for. So I'm listening, trying to digest as well for my own self, and to be more conscientious about, I guess, again, what men, average dudes, are looking for, and I'm glad to hear that it doesn't stop at physical beauty. I'm glad to hear
Hmm.
that there are way more. Oh yeah, great pill. I
Absolutely.
was getting there. Great pill. Don't you talking about such as
Hmm.
which factors? I was getting there. Great pill. Thank you. Shout out to everyone watching. Hit the like button. We have over 50 some people watching live, so please hit the like button. Appreciate y'all hanging out, having a conversation tonight. The topic for tonight, y'all go follow. We need to talk first and foremost. I'm really grateful that he's here, spending his good time explaining the mind of a man who has success looking for, I'm assuming, in his due course, a long-term relationship with a good woman, how he defines high value, and also speaking about, do men really want to date one, and do men really want one for the long term, right? To hopefully begin, to me, the real journey of self-awareness, which is marriage. Marriage is a real long self-awareness journey and raising kids with somebody. So what are men looking for? Who do they want to really date? We Need to Talk is an amazing channel. I looked at it several, what should I say? I can't even say which episodes are my favorite. Of course, shout out to I am Courtney Michelle. Well done, sis. And several other ladies I've always found intriguing, and listening to their thoughts on marriage, dating, who wants what, and the game, right? A lot of game is being explored in his content, and I appreciate what he's doing. So, as we're talking about those other it factors, such as I Thank You Great Pill podcast, what would be some of these um, other factors? So you said the jollof have to be on point, the cooking has to
Hmm.
be on, and the get in the kitchen gal.
Hmm.
Um, so is that average man's desire, you think?
Absolutely. I think if we're defining the average man based on like income, he still aspires to uh, kingdomhood, right? He still wants his home to be his castle. So
Mm,
he might not have the lofty goals of a 9 and a 10 that a high value man might have, but he still wants a good woman. He still wants a woman who makes him uh, comfortable and confident in what he's accomplished in life.
Mm,
So yeah, I think the cooking thing is just an example.
yeah.
It's not important for every man, but it's just an example of compensating factors.
Understood. Freeman's Journal.
Mhm.
Thank you. Salute at Suzette Speaks at and at We Need to Talk and RM, the super mod to the
Salute,
stars.
salute,
Hey, thank you so much for the love on the
salute.
super chat. Appreciate you being here listening in. So let me ask you that part where you talk
Mhm.
about the confidence and building the confidence in the man and the support I hear is what I hear. Please tell me if I'm not listening. Good. But
Mhm.
the support in a man. Tell
Mhm.
me if you believe that men naturally equate that to a professional or corporate woman.
No,
Why
no.
not? Here we go, y'all.
So earlier you asked me kind of about the women I've interviewed. What is interesting, or what's ironic, is of the women I've interviewed, some of the most problematic, according to the comment section, were the high value women, were
Mm-mm.
the master's degree holding, business holding, owning, highly educated women. And I don't think that's I don't think that's a mistake. I think what tends to happen, or men's experience with those women, tends to be one of um, the woman views the man as competition, or either as competition or as a subordinate, right? So it ends up becoming a masculine type of encounter as opposed to a soft, hard, yin yang type of encounter. So I think that's probably one of the main reasons men shy away from, as you put it,
Hold on, my heart hurt. My heart
high
hurt. My
value
heart
women.
hurted. My heart
Hmm.
hurting. Okay, so because I'm one of them. Thank you so much. Shout out to the chat. 75 live. Appreciate all of y'all here watching on this beautiful evening here. Ace said, lots of men like to cook. We can stop. Can we stop associating the kitchen with women? Some of the top chefs are men. Get your life, says Ace. Thank you. Nice to see you. Anyone heard from DL? Yes, I did. DM on Insta. DL. He's good in Tampa. Thank you for asking. Wonderful. He's one of the people that I did text. I was like, hey, just checking on you. He got out of Tampa. He was like, we was actually gonna do a hurricane show yesterday, but I was like, DL, if this ends up being one of the worst hurricanes ever, I don't want to be on record having like, hey, having my hurricane party yesterday. So I did hear from him. He's good. He got out of Tampa for sure. Great Pill says the average guy now wants these 8, 9s, and 10s. Unfortunately, they cannot obtain. Such as women, these 8, 9, 10s all want the 100. Oh, these women all want the $100,000 making plus man. Okay, got your point. Um, hmm, 1 through 5 want $100. Are we when people say 5 and 6, 7 and 8s and 1 through 5s? Is that specifically just on looks when men are doing that?
Yes.
Oh, geez. All right. So the
Yes.
1 through 5 one.
Yeah.
Boy, Ace said high value woman needs a confident man. That's where I was gonna go. Ace, thank you. I'm a PhD. That's what they say, RM.
Mhm.
And then you lose. Oh Lord, out here trucking. Wagwan, Jeremy, Suzette. I'm just glad I'm not in the dating market. Shaking my head. I can only imagine with both men and women. Jesus, I struggle, Alan, to decide whether I want to share certain things on my Patreon or not, because I don't think some people really know. I think they like to believe, oh, there's all these great men you're passing up. I'm like, just Saturday, just Sunday, I could just tell you some random stuff that has happened. But yeah, good luck in the in the game. Thank you, out here trucking. Appreciate the love on the big super chat. Enjoying the conversation. I'm sure. Be out if you're on these roads. Be safe out here. And but yeah, just peeling back the onion a little bit. The association of non-nurturing traits with professional women and a competitive spirit with professional women. May I ask you and tell me if I'm going in your business too deep? Have
Mhm.
you had that experience in real life?
Absolutely.
Can you give us
Absolutely.
a without them putting them out
No,
example?
and that's the thing. I don't let those situations go far. So I'll say this: one of the most feminine women that I've ever met was a high value woman, based on your definition.
Okay.
But most of the most combative, belligerent, argumentative, terrible listening women that I've met were high value women. So the one was an anomaly, and I
I
think
just don't know
that,
what to say. I want to cry.
but I think the real conversation is
Mm,
life is about trade-offs.
mm,
Life is about choices. If you watch too much TV, it'll tell you you can have it all, but the reality is a lot more sinister. There's a Faustian bargain with anything, right? So, in life, if you choose to go down a path of driven, high performance success, you sacrifice your ability to nurture across the board, right? Some people can pull off both, but the 99% can't,
okay.
right?
Okay.
So, mhm.
Brother 1D Forever says they're a headache. Yikes.
Mhm.
Ace says so much stereotyping. That's how I feel. I know my circle, and I'm like, my friend's not like this. But as you're
Mhm.
saying, this is your experience. I'm
A
like,
lot of women say that.
I'm
A
just
lot
like,
of
we're
women
not
say
like
that.
this. And then you're like, yeah, go on a date with them.
The
But
self
Ace says so
awareness.
much
Yep. Hmm.
about work profession. Like, why? Yes, Ace, I'm feeling you
Yeah.
from the bottom of my heart. I'm like, listen, observe, try to be
All
objective,
right.
because no matter what, this is his experience, this is his truth. I don't necessarily agree with all of it, but of course, I have to be, respectful that this is what you're experiencing out here.
Mhm.
So therefore, do you try to avoid high value women in your dating?
Mm-mm. No, I don't. I don't try to avoid it. And again, the thing is, I don't agree with your definition of high value women. So most of
No,
the women
listen,
that
because
I,
this is not, thank you, the last good man in Jersey. Men keep telling women what we consider high value women to be. The women
Mhm.
just don't listen. So I don't want to be one of them. But go ahead and to your point.
Yeah, so based on my definition, most of the people that I'm around in general are educated people. Most of the people I'm around are high earning people, but women who lead with those things are an instant turn off. So it
Mm,
never gets to the point of
to
the
romantic anything.
exactly, because you can see that from a mile away.
You're like, sis, sit down, boy. Mr. Smith, thank you. Talking about here for the ministry. Peace and blessings.
Salute,
Thank
salute.
you. I appreciate you. Salute to you. Thank you for being here, for watching and supporting the stream. Really appreciate it. And Freeman's Journal is back on the super chat. Thank you again. Salute to Mrs. Freeman, super mom and super wife. Chose
Facts.
well, brothers. Okay, so okay, the hurricane did not pack a punch in Broward. Yeah, Broward, Miami. I did some shopping today. I was off technically today. So I was like, nah, nobody's doing business. So I was actually at the mall for a little bit. Just wanted to get out the house, but it was winds and rain, gusty. Like my door was like fighting me to get out the car and stuff. But thankfully, and then we did have some tornado warnings just north of me. But yeah, nothing too crazy, thank God. But tonight they say it's gonna be a lot of rain. So shout out to everybody again, weathering the storm on the west coast of Florida, from Tampa Bay, Sarasota, St. Petersburg, coming right down to Naples and Fort Myers area. We're thinking about you tonight. So thank you, Freeman's Journal. Appreciate you. He say choose will. So all right. So you still date us even though we're crazy? Is that what it is? Or that's
No, I date women. I date women who tend to be educated and well employed. I don't date women who consider themselves high value women based on a masculine definition. So I don't date women who lead with their accomplishments and their egos.
okay. So when a woman approach you, give me a bad approach when you say leading with ego. What does that look like to you?
Um, I think for me, number one is how good of a listener is she? Because typically feminine women tend to be good listeners, masculine women tend to be combative, right?
Mm.
And even on my channel, you'll see examples of a dialogue that is a good tennis match versus a dialogue where the other person might be just listening for something that they disagree with. And that happens in real life as well. So whenever I feel that type of energy, I just stop talking.
I think you're very important. I think that's good in terms of just relational,
Hmm.
what should I say, skill in terms of human beings. There are people that, and yeah, I see the Alaska manager just said, don't call them high value women, call them high earning. That's different. Well,
Facts.
I think just even in conversation, there's people that I have a friend, girl, love her, that almost like she goes for the jugular. Like she got
Hmm.
to be right so bad that instead of like the supportive, like I call to get a yay at a girl, and then you giving me all the things that I didn't do, and I want to hang up the phone. So trust me, even in
Mhm.
just any like general relational coexistence with other
Mhm.
human beings, I think love wins. I think that no matter what, if you're leading with that higher intention for the other person, elevation of the other person, it comes across. And I do think
Mhm.
people in general, men and women, struggle with that sometimes because it's like trying to prove oneself, elevate oneself in the minds of others becomes like the goal instead of like, hi, how can we just relate as two human beings? Understood.
Mhm.
So when you feel that energy, oh, let me back up a little bit because I had asked you a question that I don't think was answered. When we talk about what the forms of nurturing or upholding or having one's back looks like, what does that look like to
Mhm.
you? And thanks for the super chats. I'll get to them in just a second. Shout out to everybody watching. We almost 100 people live, y'all. This is the power this man got. Yes. Okay, we need to talk. Bring them over. Thank you very much for being here. Consider subscribing.
Absolutely.
Thank you everybody who's watching. But yes, what does that look like to you when you say, I can't necessarily get that from every high earning
Mhm.
woman, but what is it that you want? What does that look like when it comes to that support?
I'm gonna speak specifically as a black man. Um, so as a black man, your experience in this country is one that people assume you're guilty until proven innocent.
Mm,
People do not initially interact with you in good faith, right? Like they're waiting for you to prove that you're not a good person. So for me, it starts with a woman who is enthusiastic and still optimistic about the greatness that lies within black men. And she meets me with that, right? She doesn't meet me with her representative. She meets me with, I see the king in you, right? And based on meeting me with that, is enthusiastic about adding value to what I'm building. Because again, I don't advocate for the men who aren't doing anything. I don't advocate for the men who don't have any reason to argue, or I mean, not to argue, I'm sorry, to complain, right? I advocate for the men doing everything that they were told to do, doing all the right things, and still being trivialized, still being talked down to, still being
not given the benefit of the doubt.
not, yeah, exactly. So for me, a woman is a multiplier. She's supposed to come in and see what you're doing, appreciate what you're doing, and in her magic, I think women are magical. See ways to add value and multiply what it is that you're building.
Mm-mm. All right,
But that
TD Jakes, praise the
starts,
Lord, praise the Lord,
but
Pastor.
that starts with her believing you.
Yeah, yeah. There's so much there. Thank you for that explanation. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
TD Jake's talking about women are multipliers. Give a woman anything and she grows it.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, if that woman again operates within her destined calling, she's supposed to
Mm-hmm.
grow that thing. And I've also heard him say, if women treat their husbands more like their sons, meeting them with what you're talking about, that I believe in you, that confidence that, okay, I may not agree, but we're going to go for it. And I'm going to give my
Mm-hmm.
wholehearted support and we're going to try this thing. I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. Let me read a couple of these super chats. Thank you for that. Appreciate you, Kirk D.A. Anderson, the best fitness coach ever on YouTube. Go check out his fitness channel. We did a wonderful chat on Lizzo a couple months ago. Thank you so much, Kurt, for the love. I appreciate you and hoping you're doing your best too, brother. I know you are in South Florida as well. So hope you're taking care of yourself in these stormy and rainy streets. Appreciate the love. Rosalind, how you been? I am glad to see you. Rosalind Brinson on the super chat says, ladies, it's okay to be high earning. Just be humble. Be humble. Let's go. I think I don't know. There's a lot of let me not speak for everybody. There's a lot of people, and just in my observation, that it goes back to not being healed yet. So
Mm-hmm.
when there are parts in our lives, we didn't grow up with too much. We didn't have the money. We didn't have the um the luxuries that we have now. Sometimes it gets to us to now have to show you the Fendi bag, show you the Birkin, show you the this, show you the shoes, show you the that, to prove oneself because they never really felt worthy. They never really
Mm-hmm.
had the sense of like, I'm enough as a human being. I have
Mm-hmm.
to, that's why our brothers with the change and the diamond stunt. So there's a lot of people I started this channel talking about healing one's traumas, but y'all didn't seem to be all up in it. So, but I hear you. I think some of that, men and women, we have to do the work. And heard you say that earlier in terms of the self awareness, the fixing the broken pieces and not carrying them to the next person, and again not
Mhm.
making the next person responsible for what the last person may have done. And that's
Mhm.
hard. I know that is very hard. It leaves that scar tissue. And now you see all black men is nobody wants to get married. No, I'm like, sis, I can't listen to you say this, because I know that there are good men and I know they do want to get married. They're afraid. They're afraid oftentimes. So let me ask you about that. Thank you, Rosalind, on the super chat. Appreciate you. Um, thank you, Just a little bit of job faking. Yes, they told me it's in there. Team replay. Oh, thank you so much. You can watch it. Thank you. Dr. Obi is him. What does that mean?
There's a song that go. It
Inside
says I'm
joke?
him.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, it kind of inside joke, but yeah, it says
You
I'm
can
him.
tell me. Okay.
Now, basically,
Mantorius.
it's like you're that guy.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, got it. He agrees with what you're saying. Wade says black women promote gender confusion. Yikes.
Mm,
One moment a black man needs to pay
mm.
100% of the bills to be a real man. The next moment, black women want to be in their 40s dating 20. Now, come on now. Come on, Wade. I'm going to drop the link, y'all. Y'all crazy. Y'all crazy. Why we got to go so strong? Let me read it again. Black women promote gender confusion. One moment, a black man needs to pay 100% of the bills to be a real man. The next moment, black women want to be in their 40s, dating 20. But it's because the 40-year-old rejects her? I don't, Lord of mercy. I'm going to, well, praise be to God. Appreciate it, Robert. In the fight, talking about somebody going wife Suzette as she speaks. Appreciate you, William. Good conversation. Glad you're finding value in it. Great conversation. 1D forever. Thank you so much. I hope I got to all the. Oh, one more. Oh, Courtney Michelle. Hey, how are you? For the beautiful Suzette and King Obi. Appreciate you, sis. I was just gloating and saying how everyone needs to go watch your episode on the We Need
Thanks.
to Talk channel. It was five, as I know. She say, and she was on this channel too right after KS passed away. Rest in peace, giving us her firsthand um, knowledge of him and the relationship she had developed, and her thoughts on his passing. And it was a fantastic show. So thank you for coming over here and just spreading the love. Another great content creator. I am Courtney Michelle. Shout out to you. Much respect to my sister in the YouTube streets here. Let me see. Kiriende says second and third generation educated women are easier to deal with. Okay. Their experience with education teaches them a degree is not magic. Okay. Your opinion. Thank you very much. Hold on, Ace. In other words, you want a woman that will stroke that ego daily. Is that a true statement?
No,
Why not?
no,
'Cause it did kind of sound like it did kind of say that, but
no,
no.
no. A man isn't looking for a woman to give him anything. He's looking for her to multiply what he has.
Hmm.
Right. So again, like I'm not speaking for the men who are looking for a woman to motivate them. I'm not speaking for the men who are looking for women to give them purpose. Right. I'm
Hmm.
speaking for the men who are looking for a woman to help him multiply what he's built. So no, like, it's
So
you're not
different type
my
of
ego
man.
pet.
Okay.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, okay, so you're saying a man who already has purpose in his life, knows what he
Hmm.
wants, knows what he wants to build, whether that's
Hmm.
professionally, whether that's in a family, whether that's whatever, and
Hmm.
looking for someone to come alongside that and help multiply that vision. Not someone who's necessarily looking for a woman to give him vision, give him purpose, give him direction.
I use the what's his name, Miles Monroe.
Rest in
He
peace.
talked
Great
about,
preacher.
yeah,
Yeah.
R.I.P. He talked about how before God gave Adam Eve, He gave him the garden, right? So He gave him purpose. He told him to tend to the garden, and the garden is also what feeds Eve. So a man must find purpose before he can find his Eve. I
Ooh.
think a lot of times when women are speaking about men, they're speaking about men who are out of order. They're speaking about men who are looking for female validation outside of their purpose or before their purpose. That's not who I'm talking about.
Oh. So you want to be very distinct in that
Hmm.
if a man is still searching for self and maybe
Hmm.
looking for external validation,
He
that's not the
doesn't need
same.
a woman. He
No,
doesn't
he
need a
needs to
woman.
find himself. You need to. I amen to
Absolutely.
that, brother. Wade
Absolutely.
dropping comment says, when black women are high earning, they are very open. about not wanting a man. Lord God, let alone a competent man. These women go out of their way to avoid. Gosh, is that what y'all really think, or did you feel this is true? Competent
Low
men.
key. Yeah, low key. Low key. Unfortunately, and even in one of my interviews, um, the young lady who's actually a master's degree holder, she admitted that uh, men of a certain caliber are more difficult to deal with because they have higher expectations than the Pookies and the Ray Rays, right? And that's something that's often glossed over. Like to the Pookies and the Ray Rays, part of the reason why they find success with women is because uh, they stroke the women's ego in a way that a high value man cannot, right? Because to a Pookie, to a Ray Ray, you're the best thing that's ever happened to him. Versus with the high value man, unfortunately, especially if you're not healed, he's a constant reminder of how you're not enough, or you might have more to work on, versus
Mm,
being this other man's everything.
let
Mhm.
me digest that.
There's a lot there.
Mm-hmm. I'm in like the Ray Ray and the Poop Pookie Boo. That's not
Mm,
my, but I think that I can just acknowledge that there are women who do that. So let me just
mm,
digest it. 'Cause again, it's not my experience.
mm,
Um, yeah, I hear you though.
mm.
I hear you. So you're
It's
saying,
it's 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 subtle. It's subtle, and I think it's one of the remnants of this masculine energy that we're talking about, right?
mm,
Because masculine energy wants control. It's hard to control somebody who is your senior, right? So
mm.
sometimes people intentionally seek out a subordinate, and it's natural when men do it because we have to cover you, we have to protect you. It's very unnatural when women do it, but it happens.
Seeking out a subordinate. That's deep. Let me think about that.
Mhm,
Yeah. Shout out to the
mhm,
folks in the chat beating me. I can't get to the chat quick enough, and I'm listening as well. Let me see. Wade says black men do not have the same ego problems that black women want. Trolling. That's a black woman trolling talking point. We will take overweight, loose, stray children, etc. Most black men really want to be treated humanely. Ooh.
mm.
Okay, Wade. Is he from your channel? Like, shout out to Wade. Let me
I,
think.
I
You watch because
I
it sounds
haven't
like
seen his name
no.
before, but
Shout out to him. I
maybe.
hope you're
Yeah.
been around. I haven't seen him comment before. Black men do not have the
Hmm.
same ego problems. That's a black woman trolling talking point. We will take overweight, loose, stray children. Wow, most black men really want to be treated humanely. So, in your pros and cons, let's just go into some pros and cons.
Hmm.
To your guests, Ace asked, are the majority of black men at your level? I guess of your level, maturity, thinking,
Hmm.
and purpose. What should I say? Awareness. Do you
Hmm.
think majority of black men are kind of where you are situated financially, mentally, on a spiritual level, etc.?
No,
Okay.
but I think a greater number than what is discussed is. But
Okay.
I think often, um, again, what we're selecting for in men, unfortunately, tends to be counterproductive aspects of their personality. So the men who are healthy tend to be looked over. So when women are dialoguing about men, they're not dialoguing about a group that is reflective of black men. They're dialoguing with about a group that's reflective of what they're attracted to, and those are two different things.
Mm-mm. So you're saying we don't really want the high value man?
Kinda low key. Low key. I think a lot of times, and this isn't just unique to women, but I think we get enamored with the veneer of things. Like we like how shit looks, right? So like everybody wants a wedding. Not that many people actually want a marriage, right?
Oh,
So I
100%. I
think
agree with that. Yeah.
you see what I'm saying. So I think when women think of a high value man, they think of what he can do for her as opposed to what she can do for him, or what they can
Mm,
do together.
mm.
So in that sense, no, most people don't want a high value man. But in the sense of like the perks, then yes.
My lord, my lord. Shout out to Ebony. Monteri say he is him. Bro be dropping gems. On top of
Appreciate you, brother.
that, he sounds like God himself. Yes, he's a great mellifluous voice. I
Appreciate
would
it.
agree with that. Hey, Ebony, glad you are here. Good energy, good vibes. TTOO, glad you're here. Can I get some? Podcast says men want high value women. However, women must recognize that attributes that are associated with being, that's what he was explained earlier. Thank you. High value women are very different from what men would consider when looking for a high value woman. Peace over profit.
I
Not
like that. POP, holding it
ooh,
down.
POP over the
Holding
down.
it down.
Y'all
Mama
remember that?
love.
One of the best memes. I always wonder whatever happened to that lady. POP, hold it down. But yeah, peace over profit for real.
Yeah.
Needing you and wanting you, woo, is two different things. Needing you and wanting you. Ooh,
Mhm.
I hear you, brother. Thank you. Forever blessed. You are a super chatter that works in a rotating name. Oh, you have different names. Shout out to you, Wade. Thank you. Oh, Taipan. Okay, I know I'm talking to now. Nice to see you. Glad you're here. Thank you. He is been up on the panel too. Thank you very much. Good to see you, brother. Yes. Okay. So distinguish this. Brooklyn King says a high value woman ain't a modern woman. Can you comment on that for me?
I think he's talking about high value based on like the male definition.
Yeah.
And modern women, when we talk about modern women, we're talking about it not in a positive light but in a negative light. And the twerking and the belligerence and the eyelashes and all the things. But a
What's wrong
high
with
value
eyelashes?
woman.
Okay. You talking about super
that's
eyelashes? Okay, the super super
that's
super.
that's that's another live stream. But
Oh my god, I want more
based
eyelash.
on
Thank you.
based on what men value, there's a distinction.
So you did talk about beauty as number one.
Mhm.
What is in that
Mhm.
top five? What else is in that top five?
Um, Softness, honestly, right? So when I'm talking about softness, I'm talking about like her approach, right? Because I'm
Mm.
looking for balance. I'm looking for the yin to my yang, or the yang to my, I don't know what
No, I
the thing
understand. Yeah.
is. But yeah, so softness. So I don't want somebody who's harsh. I don't want somebody who's masculine in the way that I am. I don't want somebody who approaches life the same way that I do. I want somebody who can make up for my blind spots, right? So for instance, one of the things that I might value is I'm not a people person, right? It would help if my
Surprisingly.
woman, surprisingly, right? I'm actually an introvert. It would help
Mm.
if my woman was actually more of a people person, right?
Social
So from a
butterfly would balance you. Yeah, yeah.
because I think about love and companionship from a political standpoint, more than just feelings. It's about like we have to be a united front for a reason, right? So for me personally, the things that I'm looking for is what's going to help establish and maintain the legacy that I want to build.
Mm.
So the softness, the disposition, the beauty, obviously, is first thing. Intelligence, right? Because we talk about intelligence like it's a bad thing, but this woman is in charge of raising my children, right? So she must be intelligent, not necessarily a PhD holder, but when it comes to interpersonal intelligence, I think that's
Mm.
vital, right? Because she's teaching our kids culture. She's teaching our kids how to view the world, perspective. So interpersonal intelligence, resourcefulness, right? Like if like Gucci Man went to prison and he gave his wife like $1 million
And Keisha
and she
cut
came
it,
back
flipped
with,
it.
you see what I'm saying? Like
Cut
so
Keisha
so
KR. Yes. Yeah.
but unfortunately, like book smarts, accolades, and actual like resourcefulness are two different things.
Mm.
But yeah, we get to all that before we get to okay, how much money do you make? So
Understood.
yeah, I hope that answers your question.
No, I got here. I got a lot more thoughts now generated from that. But thank you. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
understood. From a mind of a man, guys. He's not purporting to speak for every man, but he has an
Mm-hmm.
amazing platform where he's exploring these ideas of how men and women, specifically Black men and women, relate to one another. And I don't know. I want to ask you some bigger questions, like can we really save the Black community at this point? But shout out to my
Mm-hmm.
brother here. We need to talk doing work. I'm going to drop the link in just a couple
Appreciate
minutes
it.
here to see what the people have to say. I hope you're
Okay.
enjoying the conversation. We're at 110 live. I appreciate y'all who are watching. Hit the like button. Thank you for everybody who super chatted and supported tonight. They're speaking about the men they pick. Okay. Thinking about,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry if I'm a little bit behind on the chat. Sorry. Strictly speaking, way adds. Black women do not want high value men. Black women will, however, take a high value man after life has passed them through the ringer. They are not. That's not a genuine desire, though. Wow, Lord, do you feel this? Do you think this is a truth?
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Remember with the marriage versus wedding? Yeah, it's true.
Oh, wow. Wow. Wow, wow. So does a high value man, this is just for me. They answer one time like, why you think the Pookies and the Ray Rays winning so much? I'll hit that like button. We doing work kill
Mhm.
at night. How are you, sis? Hope you're good. Henry says hi, earner, not rich yet. Okay, all right. Modern women. I think he kind of gave us a good definition. Shout out to my boy Quincy. Geez, I'm late. Good evening. It's okay. Good to have you, sir. Glad you're here. Peace to the chat. Everybody who's watching. Shout out to you and for showing love and for giving us how you feel. Big Brooklyn King says, big shout outs to you, OB. Your material is revolutionary. Go check out We Need
Appreciate
to
it,
Talk.
King. Appreciate
Amazing
it.
channel,
Appreciate it.
amazing channel. Um last comment, Jordy said the black community is already doomed, so stop it. You're not going to save nobody. High divorce rate than marriage rate. It's scary. It's actually, I'm thinking sometimes, Alan, what are we in 50 years as a black community in America? Like I really think about that and it like really troubles my heart sometimes. Quinn
Mhm.
says, black man, I just don't know my shades of lilac. Oh, but thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate the compliment, my brother. Um, all this seems like new knowledge. Is that no? I'm curious. Thank you very much. And again, I think women think very differently. I'm not in any way going to say I'm the full expert of the man's perspective. So maybe some of it is not all. Thank you very much, Jada Sming. But understanding a mindset of a man, I think we, me myself, black women of my generation, probably 80s babies, stand up, don't necessarily have what should I say, the transferal of knowledge that we should have probably had early on, to understand our men and understand what they need and understand what it would take to make a healthy, not only relationship but household and to sustain it. I think a lot of that I've started to learn in the last several years, but I think coming up, it was not in a class, if you will. It was not readily what came first in terms of importance in my household. What came first was where you're going to get your next degree from and where you're going to get your next job from and those kind of things. So the relational aspect of today's man also is quite a contrast from I think what our parents grew up with and how men of a certain generation think as well. So I feel like we grew up Cosby and I think we're in like Pokemon. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like we're in a different universe in terms of what many men are putting forward as far as
Yeah.
what they are wanting or how they're relating to women. So let me ask you this. Shout out to Jada Sming. Appreciate you. Quincy says, keep pushing, brother. I think your channel is very important to our people having this discussion with civility. Amen to that. And again, he does
Appreciate it.
not clip it. I'm just still shocked at that. He doesn't cut it. He just plays it for how it is. Y'all
Yeah.
support him. I'll go over to the channel and sub, and I appreciate everybody supporting here tonight. So, does a high value man, is it out of her feminine energy? This is for me myself because people are telling me to do this. Like approaching men. Does a high value man wish for a high value woman to approach him as far as a romantic pursuit, or is that deemed as being masculine?
I would never encourage a woman to approach a man.
Really?
Um, so there's a dating coach. His name is Matthew Hussey, and he was on I think he was on Good Morning America, something like that, and he was talking about the concept of dropping the handkerchief, right? Basically, a woman asked him, should I approach men? And she was like, or he was like, women have always dictated the man that they wanted, but they did it in a more covert, more subtle way. And he alluded to dropping the handkerchief. A young lady might see a man she's interested in, walk past them, drop the handkerchief, and now the ball is in his court to pick up the handkerchief, be a gentleman, bring it to her, and now they struck up conversation. Now he's going to think that it was him, but the whole time it was her, right? So the moral of the story is if you approach it like a man, it will not work. But if
Mm,
it's more subtle, if it's more covert, because again, women's strength, women's power, even if you look at it biblically with Delilah and Samson, it's your power of seduction, it's your power of persuasion, right? It's not your power of force and authority, right? But unfortunately, I think a lot of women have fallen out of their actual power, and now they're trying to be Dahomey Amazons alluding to the movie that just dropped.
Woman
When your
King, I just
real
saw it.
when your real power is what Delilah was able to do to Samson. And so to answer your question, there's a way to make it easier for the man that you want to approach you, right? Without you having to straight up, hey, little daddy, how you doing? Without you having
No
to do that.
DM then. You don't want no DM from no girls.
No, no.
No
So
woman to be
DM is different because it's social media. I'm thinking more so in person. If it's a
oh.
DM situation, same deal. Like, oh, what's that song? Oh, what what I mean? Where's that
Oh, where'd you get
restaurant?
that purse?
Exact.
Whatever it is. So be subtle.
Right, right. It's all
RM
about
says,
self.
fun fact, ladies, bing, bing, bing. And I do think our sisters, our counterparts are taught this. Let it
Mm,
always be his idea. Some of y'all don't want to play that game. Why? Why I gotta do this? Why I gotta do that? It's very interesting.
mm.
Quincy said he know what he's talking about. Smile and use seductive side eye is what I like. Okay.
Some of y'all
Smile.
eyes be confusing though. I will say that some of y'all eyes are not,
So
clear.
approach, says Quincy, but seductive side eye and smile. Okay. Antoine says the sad thing is black women don't get married. They have babies and no man wants to take care of another man. Okay, Mister. Okay, tell us how you really feel. ID Forever says not a full approach, but start a subtle conversation. Oh wow. Miss Globe Girl says I don't agree with a lot of this dialogue. But I hear you, sis. But I agree with the power of covertness when approaching a man. Okay. Respect, respect. Thank you. Let me go back. I dropped the link. If you guys want to come, we'll do a little round robin because we have a limited time here tonight. So
Mm.
come through, say what you got to say. Let us know. Quincy says facts. I would rather a woman to drop a hint of interest rather than to mac on me. Good thing I
Yeah, we
didn't
get
send that DM.
suspicious. We get suspicious because
Like, what
it's
do you want?
if you're a guy who has any kind of juice, it's happened. It always feels awkward. It always feels like it's kind of like if you went to a car dealership and they were really, really trying to sell you a certain car, you would think there was something wrong with it. You would
Oh,
even if it's a Ferrari, you would think,
you're
oh
like,
man,
because
maybe
you
it
don't
was
believe the
flooded.
sales approach. Exactly. You're like, something is wrong here. Why does it, why is this person going so hard? Good to
Mm,
know. But Ace
mm.
disagrees. Ace says black men love being approached by women. So you reject this.
I think Ace isn't thinking it all the way through. So an approach, from my perspective, what I'm talking about is like striking up a conversation. Uh,
Mm,
but your question was like literally hollering at a guy.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not going to work. If
Not
it's a
cool.
guy of value, it's not going to work. But striking up a conversation, making it easier for him, dropping your handkerchief, those things actually do work.
Okay, so subtlety. Shout out to
Subtlety.
Wealth Engineering, my brother. How you been? Good to see you in the chat. Says
Mm.
huge turn off. Um, mm, Lord Commander, thank you. Says the number one trait of a high value woman is going to be limited access. Lord God, she is very reserved with her space, and only character unlocks that space. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah. There needs to be
But then you
a
gonna call me
sense
stuck
of
up and standoffish, and that I'm like
no,
too
no, no, no,
snooty
no.
and highfalutin.
But there's a way. Okay, this is the analogy that I like to give. The dating market is kind of like the job market, right? So, in the job market, you might have your resume on your LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn profile is private, but obviously, people understanding your credentials know the type of job that you would apply for or that you would entertain or not. So similarly, with a woman, if she is a good woman, and not just good from a female perspective on women, which is a masculine perspective, but a good woman to a good man, she's not gonna click with many people, right? So it's
Mm.
less about being standoffish, but it's more about you're just it's not gonna be a good culture fit, right? So she can still be nice, she can still smile and the whole nine, but like the conversation isn't going to go anywhere. It
Ah,
might not
okay.
last long, but it doesn't mean she has to be this, devil wears Prada,
Don't talk to
just
me. I'm too good for you. That kind of thing. All
exactly. It
right. So
doesn't
there's
have
a
to be
fine line.
that.
There's a
Mm.
happy medium. I see you, wealth engineering, bruh. Where you been at, bruh? I see you in the back. Wait, I'm gonna bring you guys up now. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to everyone watching. Having a great conversation right now. But we need to talk. Fantastic content creator. He has a phenomenal channel. Having some conversations that again may make you feel a little uncomfortable. Sometimes you wonder, but it's a good, I think, open dialogue for folks to really understand one another and one another's experiences, right? For those individuals. So, do men really want a high value woman? Are they interested in really dating them? We've had a couple definitions of that high value. I know you came in late, wealth engineering. I hope you heard the definition. Shout out to my Patreon members. Everybody, please hit the like button. We enjoying tonight with my brother Alan, a special guest YouTuber. So right now we're going to open up the back. We have a few minutes, so let's bring up Wade. How are you, Wade? And wealth engineering. Hi guys, how are you?
Salute, salute.
Doing good. What's up?
Hey, Wade, you're up first. I see you busy in the chat with some deep reflections. How are you? Tell me what your thoughts are, what you want to add to tonight's conversation.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback on something Ellen said about the value of having an intelligent woman to raise your children. I've always been somewhat I've always rejected the manosphere's promoted narrative that the woman's education and her earnings don't matter altogether. The issue we have in our community is we it like the education. The reason why so many the reason why so many black men push back on the education thing is many black men have developed a resentment for the education system based on their experiences.
Mm.
But objectively speaking, those of us with an education and those of us who make a certain amount of money, obviously, don't have the same kind of apprehension towards dealing with educated women.
Mm-hmm.
The issue, though, isn't necessarily the education or the earnings, though. It's the attitude that tends to come with it in our community, and you tend not to see that as much in other communities because education, finance, and whatnot really doesn't stop Chinese women from getting husbands, or like Indian women from getting husbands, or
White
Caucasian
women.
women.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the education of the woman definitely does matter, but assuming we're following like a more normal kind of paradigm where the
Traditional.
exactly for example when you have like 60% of your boys not being able to read at a grade level, then it is going to produce a certain resentment from between the men towards the women, right?
Understood. Great point. So you're saying for you, you think education is important, and how is the earnings important or play a role for you?
I think just like in other communities, what you tend to see is mating happening across class. So a woman who's a doctor may deal with a man who's a lawyer, or vice
A
versa.
professional. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So it matters in that respect, but because of the way we tend to function doesn't necessarily follow normative kind of like a class structure, you end up with this with a weird dynamics where at this point, for example, if you're a wealthy guy and you're expected to be, for example, a stepdad to somebody else's child, and like the woman who's doing very well has had a child with somebody who's obviously not doing as well, right? Then it creates a weird kind of dynamic. But if everything is functioning like the way it does in other places, then yeah, the woman's education does matter. But it's this I used the term gender confusion before because you end up with this with rules that really they're not coherent. They don't make any sense. They really don't fit together.
All right. Thank you. Let me ask. We need to talk, Alan. You want to respond or give a feedback?
No, I think he did a phenomenal job. I think it's never really been we don't want smart women. It's been more so stop leading with your nuts. Stop leading like a man. That's literally all men have been trying to say. Now, have we been refined in our articulating that all the time? No, but literally men have just been saying before we get to that there are other, because me personally, like I've always gravitated to women who did better in school than me, right? Because I
So that
wanted
don't
that for my
phase you,
children.
don't intimidate you. That's not
It
a
doesn't.
turn
No,
off.
no. But now, if she is aggressive in the way that I am as like a salesperson or like a leader and the things that I am good at, it might not work. But I like women who like to read. I like women who are studious. I like women who can, we can have deep and insightful conversations about the universe and stuff like that. However, if you think that your PhD or your master's degree makes you more attractive in my eyes, you're not paying attention. That's all men are saying, really.
Mm. All right. We're getting it from the sources tonight, ladies. I'm listening and I'm just kind of digesting. I might have to come back and do a reaction to my own video. I'm so excited. But
It's
wealth engineering, how are you,
sorry.
JC? Nice to have you.
Do you mind if I sneak in one
Oh,
more
sorry.
comment?
Go ahead, Wade. Go ahead, Wade. And then I really want to get wealth engineering in. Go ahead.
No problem. I'll make it quick. Alan and I are in agreement on like a lot of things in this topic, but we're I think Alan really excels is in emphasizing either the historical or sociological context for why it is that things operate the way they are. But otherwise,
Mhm.
like we tend to see things alike. It's just Alan does a really good job of explaining the why and why we think the way we do.
Awesome. Well, thank
Thank you.
you. JC Wagwan. How are you? How's Canada?
Salute, salute. Starting to get cold. We're getting
It's getting cold here too, man.
Yeah,
yeah, salute.
right?
Hey,
I
salute
got
to
my
you guys.
turtleneck.
So salute to you as well. That's the first time
Salute,
I'm
salute.
seeing you, but I'm happy that I got to see you to Suzette. I'll check out your content. I agree with a lot of what you're saying tonight, and I actually am. I like that you were saying that you're attracted to women, basically that kind of were doing better than you in school. Because I'm I was married. I was married for 8 years. This year I'm separated, in the process of being divorced. But my wife was actually always doing better than me in school, and
Mhm.
that translates in a career as actually getting paid higher than me. So the last 2 years of my marriage, up until that, she was making always making like by like at least $20,000 or more than me, right?
Mm.
But
Did it make you feel some type of way?
at the beginning, when I first started dating her, before we even started working on a professional, so I graduated as an engineer. She did as well. We are both in the same courses throughout, like 18 all the way to 25. But yeah, I always made it clear to her, like, I know you're good at school. I know you're going to get a good job and get paid, but I don't care about all that. And if you
Oh.
think that's going to give you any type of authority over me, like, like get
Did
out
y'all
of
have
it.
a sense of competition, healthy or not otherwise?
Um, I mean, me, I'm a competitive guy, so I was always competitive by nature. But I
Mhm.
made it clear from day one,
Don't play
like
me.
don't no, don't play me. Like I can beat you in school, but like watch out. And
When
that
you
came
come to
from,
this doorway, let me
yeah,
know.
and,
Oh,
and that
thanks, Wade. Wade says, two Canadians on the panel. Salute to wealth engineering.
hey,
Appreciate it.
salute.
So
I
tell us
didn't know
what
that.
your
That's
your
cool.
thoughts are. So you had this experience with actual high value woman, but
Well,
tell me.
that's the question, and because I have a lot to say on this topic because I don't necessarily consider her as a high value woman. So
Your
that's
wife, you soon to be ex.
exactly because I don't consider value as the monetary aspect, and that's where I was asking the question at the beginning, and I was rewinding back to understand your definition, where you're coming from, and thank you to Ace for also highlighting the definition as well. But if the definition was only the money aspect, then strippers would be considered as high value women because
Hold up now.
some
Hold up now. Hold up.
some strippers are making six figures and up, right?
Thank
Only
yeah.
fans. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, OnlyFans women, yes. Wait, I know you say you had to go. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming up. But go ahead, please, wealth engineering.
So yeah, that the money aspect alone cannot be value. So we're going to have to agree on a definition on, is the value is how you perceive it, and do you only perceive it on what you get from it or what you're providing to the world,
You
or
define it. You define it. How would
or
you define a high value woman?
or if we perceive it as what men would value in women, and I guess the high value woman would be what most men want, right?
I'm doing it. I'm doing the latter tonight. You please tell me your definition.
So from that perspective, I'm currently dating an African woman right now. She got in the country in Canada in like a couple months ago, so she's still fresh from her from her mindset and her philosophy and her
Super
culture.
traditional.
from
Okay, I
Africa,
get
and
it.
it's a world of difference. So she's making maybe 60K. Like I'm barely making 100K for this year, so that's the second year I'm making six figures. So and even that I don't consider myself a high value because
JC.
I agree a lot with Kevin Samuel's definition. It's not the money that makes you the high value because otherwise drug dealers would be high value too
No,
for six
understood.
figures,
We're not
right?
saying specifically, and I started out with the framework of okay, monetarily value, but I think we've expanded it throughout the conversation. So your point
Uh,
is taken.
all
But
right, all
you
right.
saying she only have value because she coming straight out the motherland and she hasn't been corrupted by you guys with the Western, which I say feminist thought, and so you are considering her more high value.
And I'll give you a perfect example of that, right? So on the monetary side, she's basically making what 60K, which is slightly above average in where I'm at. But and I guess I'm a little bit more average where I'm at. But she was able to inspire me in ways in just a couple of months that my wife
Mm,
was never
Like
able to
what?
inspire
Give us
me.
a
mm.
game. Give
And
us a game, JC. What's up?
I actually released a video on that earlier this today, and we're explaining why men should
How
consider
she
marriage.
how
And
she inspires you?
yes, and I'll give you a perfect example. Like, despite my wife like not necessarily competing with me, but I always felt the kind of like a little bit of pressure, which is me adding it on my own of
Okay.
making sure that making I have to make more money than her at some point. And the way I would translate that is I love driving cars, so I always make sure I drive the better car all the time, right? Like,
But
and then she
JC, it's not her that's giving you the competition, you know. It's
no,
you giving her the competition.
I get it. I get it. And I have to be that way because otherwise my words have less weight in the household, especially when she's making that much money. So because she's like, well, hey, what I don't agree with this, I can bounce. Or I'm like, okay, I have to like, see what I'm saying? My word needs more weight, so I have to balance that with the money part. But
Ah,
let me give you an example, right?
there's so
That
much in
feminine
what you just said I need to unpack. But go ahead. Go ahead.
that feminine woman that I'm dating, again, it's not even about the money part. It's like we barely even talk about money at this point. But she came up to me and we had this conversation this Sunday, and she was telling me that in her country, they are taught to have confidence in the power of their husband. And every
Mm,
time she talks to me, she always finds way to inspire me. And this is
mm.
the first time I always use car as a way to compete with women. This is the first time in my life I've ever considered buying a car for this woman. And then she was
Damn.
telling me, and she was telling me about a cloth that they have in her culture that husbands gives to their wife, and that cloth means my husband is capable. That's the name of the cloth. My
Damn.
husband is capable. And as soon as she told me that, I was like, man, I want to buy
Which
you a
culture? Can I
Mercedes.
ask you what culture is she from?
She's from Ivory Coast,
Ay,
and
ay.
yeah, African, and basically the as soon as she said that, I'm like, I want to buy you a nice car, and then I want to put the interior of the car with that cloth so that people can say your husband
This
is
this my
capable.
husband confidence cloth, y'all. My husband got me this truck, y'all.
It
This is
exactly
listen,
right. So
Quincy. I agree. She
it's
putting
kind of
that
like
thing on you, sir. She got you on lock.
it's
I
kind of
look
like
on your
using my
happy.
ego for
Oh
her
my.
benefit, but at the same time inspiring me as well to be in my full self, but also to share that with her as opposed to like competing it in a way, right? So again, my wife in I've known my ex married for 8. We've been together for 18 years. I've never felt like that at all with this woman,
Mm.
despite her being making more
Ooh,
money than me,
ooh.
right?
She got that thing, but they got some comments for you. Can I read a couple? They said, and Andrew, if you want to come up, we are limited in our time tonight. Andrew Walker, if you want to come back up in the back, come back in. Just like I said, Miss Globe Girl says, some men are in competition with women, not vice versa. Ace asks, wealth engineering, you don't sound like you're a servant leader. You have to drive the better car. Come on. Yes, their opinion. Appreciate you, Savannah. Thank you so much. Quincy's so funny. Say she putting that thing on you. Does she cook? That would be a yes. Uh-huh.
Yes,
That
yes, she
smile
could.
says she doing more than cooking. Hallelujah for the Ivorian empress that my brother has found to put a smile on his face. Amen to you. I appreciate that. So you're saying this does the confidence and support she's offering has you in a whole different mindset towards her that you never felt in almost 8 years of marriage.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Wow.
And
10.
she's motivating in my business. She's like
Take
inspiring
notes,
me. She's like, I
ladies.
believe in you.
Take notes, ladies. Take
So,
notes.
Lord God, this I'm telling you here, Quincy talking about marry her.
I,
The
now
quick
here's the
alone is
question.
worth the risk. Is that true?
Here's the question. You know, the only thing that is slowing me down about marriage, and again, this is going to go come down to the definition of high value women.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing that it's not even her fault, but it's something that I think about. It's her age.
Oh, she's older than
She's
you?
she no, she's 1 year younger than me, but she's 35. So
Okay.
me, basically what I'm thinking is, okay, I need like a good 2 years just to make sure that she's the good one. 3 years, so that's 38. By the time we can start making having kids, that will be 39.
Mm.
So I'm like, I would definitely want to have kids. That's the only reason why I would consider
So people
marriage.
have kids. Y'all, yeah, okay, that's a whole nother band. People have kids and good and nice and healthy kids. Y'all,
We're talking
okay.
about value, right? Like
I understand in your
if
mind
she
how
had
you think.
yeah,
Gotcha.
if she had the same mindset and a 25-year-old
But
body,
she couldn't. She couldn't. Do y'all understand that? In her own maturity and understanding of life, understanding of human beings, understanding of men, the 25-year-old can't appreciate you like a 35-year-old can.
It's not true.
maybe not in North
It's
America.
not true.
You don't think so, Alan? Tell me, Alan. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm
That's
wrong.
not true.
Tell me
Now,
so.
I will say that there are some trade offs. So it's hard to find a 25-year-old who's mature and who has
That's
the same appreciation. However, no, you can find it. That's the
I'm not
thing. You
saying they
can.
don't exist, but it's a unicorn.
Yeah, but I think what the baggage that comes with a 35-year-old, it outweighs some of the positive attributes that we're talking about.
Baggage like
But
what?
where do we start? Number one, let's say she is conservative and she started dating at 20. This is 15 years of male baggage now that you have to deal with, as opposed to 5. You
But what
have
if
to
she
deal with,
wasn't like in the streets?
even if she wasn't in the streets, 15 years. It's a long time, right? So not just with men, but also in her lifestyle. Like, she's now set in her ways. She's built a certain type of life for herself. She's not going to be willing to get on your train because she has her own, right? So part of what men are looking for is somebody to get on my program. So the whole
So
partner
a woman
thing,
who's in her 30s or 40s cannot get on your program.
it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. It's not impossible, but it's difficult.
Okay.
Hmm.
From the
And
gentleman's
and and
perspectives. I'm just
and
listening.
this
I
is,
don't have the time. We have
listen,
about 5 minutes, so I can't even
and
really go
this
deep
is
on that.
this is speaking as somebody who's dated women in their 30s. It is difficult, right? Like,
For
it's
them to
it's
get on your
doable.
program.
Absolutely. It's just like, and I think you bringing up IVF is such a beautiful metaphor. Like, it's possible to have kids after 38 and the whole nine, but it's very expensive. It's very difficult, and it's very painful, and it's not guaranteed, right?
So
So
neither
we
is
have
just
to weigh.
natural. I'm just saying, I know
Mhm.
women who are infertile in their 20s. I know women who have a
Absolutely,
difficulty in their early 30s. So
absolutely,
I think people in general overestimate how easy it is to have a baby. You just get married and you have
absolutely.
a baby. That's not how it is now, in general.
No, I agree.
Quincy
I
says you better
agree,
marry
but
her in 6 months and have a baby in a year. But okay, go ahead.
right,
Sorry.
right. No, I agree. But the thing is, we're talking about men who have done the work, and for all kinds of reasons, men reach their peak later in life, whereas
Right.
women reach their peak earlier in life. So if I've reached my peak, let's say at 40, a 40-year-old woman is not at her peak like I am. So I might be looking down, and listen, I'm saying this while fully recognizing it's not fair, it's not equitable,
No,
but it's
I'm
the
talking
truth.
about this, Miss Globe Girl. What is their male no baggage, no male baggage, sir? I have
What
so
is
many things going through my mind, but it's not a disrespect, or I'm just trying to get your
Sure.
kind of frame of mind. So you're saying, what were you saying? She's not at her peak now. What was it that you were
Yeah,
saying?
she's not at her peak when I'm at mine. If we're the same age,
Can
unfortunately.
I add something very quickly on that point,
Sure.
sir?
Sure.
Just to say, is it possible to have kids, let's say, to pass 38, 40? Actually, I have a cousin right now who's 43 who had a third kid. So I know
Yeah,
it's
I have a
possible.
45-year-old friend. It's actually my
Mm.
cousin's friend in Atlanta. Fly chick, just got married. My cousin was telling me about her and had a baby. So
So is
it's
it
doable.
possible?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But is it probable? Well, the
Mm.
probability, especially when it's your first one. Now, I've gone through this
Absolutely. That's what I
before.
was gonna say. Yeah.
It's a lot easier to make it happen after you had
Mm.
your first one, right? But when the first one is It's 1 out of 4 that are successful. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I know this because I've lost a kid while we are trying to have one. So I know what I'm saying in that sense. But so yes,
Mm-hmm.
this is something that
That you're
I
thinking
say.
about. I understand. I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Savannah says wealth engineering hasn't stopped smiling this entire time. That man is
Listen, take
happy.
notes.
Yeah,
Take
he's like,
notes.
Lord, for you to say you didn't feel like this none of the time while in your marriage for this short term.
Listen,
Uh,
I'll say this. I'll say
yeah.
this. I had one guy reach out to me, and he actually called my phone. I don't know how he got my number, but apparently he views my channel. For probably the first 30 minutes, and this is a married man. For the first like 30 minutes of our conversation, he was bragging about Courtney Michelle. He was like
Mm,
literally just listening to her talk makes him feel in a way that his wife doesn't make him feel. Listening to her talk about how she believes in black men, how she thinks black men are superheroes. Literally just her words, somebody he's never met before, makes him feel empowered. And this is a six-figure man running businesses and things like that. It said it makes him feel empowered in a way that his own wife cannot do. So again, the problem we have in our society is that the vast majority of our women are listening to masculine women. They're not listening to women who are having success in the fields that they claim to want. They're not listening to happily married women. They're not listening to women who actually understand how men work. They're listening to women complain about how they wish men worked.
mm. Wealth, we
It
got a
happens
few
on this
minutes.
side too, to be
No, I'm
fair.
listening.
It happens on this side.
I'm like, this is we out of time. Wealth, you got about
Yeah.
a minute. You want to add anything? Your viewpoints there?
I don't know. It's okay. I think I've mentioned a lot already. I think there's a lot to reflect in. I am happy we can sort out the definition part because that's the
Yes.
one thing when I was going to the gym, by the way, and I saw
So I'm
this and I was like,
wonderful.
nah, I gotta listen to this. I'm
Shout out
triggered.
to you, man. Shout
but
out
uh,
to you.
but thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I
Thank
agree with
you.
this. Some women can get you so stressed out, but apparently, they have other benefits. So we'll keep it there.
Yeah, but
Um,
one last thing I would say is I agree 100% with your guests here, and I'll check out your channel. Thank you again for
Yeah.
having your guests, and also to say that yes, a lot of women, especially um, women that are coming from single family, raised by another woman, the mother had to take both masculine and feminine traits,
mhm.
and that doesn't necessarily convey well because my ex is actually from a single family. And it's funny because sooner or later, that always seeps out of our conversation, our actions, and all that, where a lot of that masculine energy will come out,
That
and
I
that will
don't
come
need
and
you.
Slips
conflict
out.
with
Tell
yours.
me, tell me what that means. We're almost out of time, but what does that mean when you say slips out?
So because think of it this way, a mom has to tell the kid how to operate, right? You have to be the disciplinary, but
Mhm.
the wife, we don't want a wife to be our mothers, right? So, but
Right.
Mm.
basically, women like that will, especially when she's an her instinct and she's mad, she's gonna be that type of guy, and that's a huge turn off. And sometimes, if you disrespect a man too much, you destroy his ego. There is no way around that. There is no way back around that.
No,
So,
I've heard it saying that a man gives you his proverbial heart and I've heard it as analogized as a voodoo doll. And every time you stick a pin, you stick a pin, you stick a pin. Eventually, he gonna pull that doll from you. But I hear what you're saying. There's so much more that I want to unpack with you, wealth engineering. But we're out of time. I'm gonna drop you down, brother, and give my brother Alan the last word. I appreciate you
Mm.
just being open and honest with your experiences. It has definitely enlightened me. For sure, for sure. Shout out to you and the Ivorian Empress. I hope she keeps you smiling, brother. You take care.
thank you, thank you.
Peace,
Nice
brother.
to have you, JC Wealth Engineer. Check out his channel, y'all. He's a great channel. I'm gonna go watch what your show about what she has done to make you so happy, sir. Yes, Quincy, smiling from ear to ear. He says it's so amazing when to hear a real a black woman. Excuse me. It's so amazing to hear a real black woman praise a black man. Salute to Simcia. Y'all go back and watch how looking good kept me broke. I just did a fantastic show with Simcia. Good clips on my shorts from that show. And Sim, I appreciate you checking on me today. He messaged me and what made sure I was okay and all that good stuff. Alan has to go, y'all. I gotta respect his time. But Alan, final comments on this wonderful conversation. I
Mhm.
appreciate you coming over and enlightening us with your perspectives. But final comments tonight?
Yeah. So, like I said before, the dating market is very similar to the job market. And in the job market, you first have to analyze yourself. and analyze yourself not from the perspective of yourself, but from the perspective of a potential employer, right? So, what are they looking for? Not just credentials and skills, because everybody else has it, but as far as disposition, as far as temperament, what is Apple looking for, right? Everybody wants to work for Apple, but what is Apple looking for? That's a very different conversation than a Apple would be happy to have me or would be lucky to have me, right? So the self awareness piece is huge. And then once you become self aware, it's a lot easier to figure out what you need to tweak, like the Tom Brady analogy, what how to learn the playbook and how to, compete with the other people who might be more athletic than you. And we can all find success. You just have to be self aware. And then the other thing too is some people don't need to find love first. They need a therapist, right?
Word.
Before
100%.
they start, you know what I mean? Before they start looking for work in the dating
Jo-
market. So
Joining
those are
someone
those are my
else's
last
market.
two thoughts. Yeah.
Oh, 100%, brother. I got two great shows. If you enjoyed tonight, tomorrow, Harrison Family Values will be on, talking about how single moms can raise secure sons, how single moms can raise
Mm.
secure sons. I think it kind of piggybacks a little bit on what we've discussed tonight. And Saturday, I'm going to have EXO Natalie talking about, do men really like makeup? I always argue with
No.
this. You say no, but y'all always be on the people pages that they face be beat, their hair is
Mm.
laid, but you want to tell me y'all don't really like it?
No, so it's we don't like makeup that looks like makeup. We like makeup that accentuates natural. So like people use Kim Kardashian. I'm fully aware that she has on makeup, but it's
She
a
has a full beat
natural.
to look natural.
Absolutely,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
exactly. But when the eyelash, I mean the eye color is different, and the cheeks are different, and this and that. The dramatic drag queen stuff, men don't like it. Men
Okay,
do
well,
not like it at
I
all.
hope you're around for Saturday's show.
Okay,
It's been
I
up for
might
a
pull up
while.
on
The
you.
streams are up, y'all. Hit the notification button. I'm gonna
Yeah.
let you go, sir. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you again for having me.
Of
Absolutely.
course, my
Have a
pleasure.
good
Thank you,
evening.
Alan. Talk to you soon. Shout out to the brother at We Need to Talk. Y'all go over and support the channel. He had some great conversations, in depth, really heart wrenching. Some of them conversations with Black women, how they feel about relationships, dating, Black men, their past experiences, the Pookie, the Ray Rays, and just finding high value in a partner. I really have been moved by a lot of his content, and so I wanted to have him on tonight. He did a phenomenal job. No uh, uh, nothing was left unsaid. So I appreciate him giving me his real perspectives. I appreciate all of you watching. Hit the subscribe button, why don't you, and the like. And you can go ahead and leave a comment after. It will really help other people see the stream. So again, tomorrow live 7 p.m. Harrison Family Values, what single moms can do to raise secure sons. He picked that topic. Saturday, I have Miss EXO Natalie. Do men really like makeup? We are going to finally talk about it. She's a YouTuber that does makeup. I thought it was a great kind of synergy. She suggested the topic as well. So I was like, they always say that. I have guests that come up on my panel and give me a lot of feedback about that. But I appreciate y'all. Thank you for the support. Everybody who super chatted, everybody who liked, commented, gave me their feedback. Let me see. Miss Globe Girl ends. I hope these men go out and get what they're looking for and what they deserve in a woman. I hope they find their peace. Absolutely. I agree. Marry her now was Monterius. The clock is ticking, big dog. Don't wait. Therapy rocks for sure. I agree with that sentiment. A lot of us have baggage that is holding us back. And, it shows up. One place it's going to show up is in your relationship. So we don't want it to show up there. So we appreciate you. Makeup is a costume. Lord God, it's not the real you. I feel like it accentuates. I love me some makeup, but I hear what you're saying. Yay, Gail at night again. Thank you, IRM. Thank you so much. She needs that beat too. Let me tell you, all these women are made up to look natural. That's like a normal thing. Our eyelashes are the devil's creation. Tell me how you really feel. The common sense expert. Appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. Sweet dreams, fam. I appreciate y'all. See you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Please go ahead and hit the notification bell for my upcoming streams. We finish in a month strong. All right. Be safe out there, everybody who's dealing with the inclement weather. And I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for your support. Have a good night.